Welcome to the Insurance Perspectives podcast presented by HawkSoft. I'm your host, Kenny Hendricks, and I am HawkSoft's Director of Partner Integrations. This is part 2 of our series on Aureus Analytics' DONNA platform. Last week in part 1, we interviewed Thomas Mann, Director of Customer Success at Aureus Analytics. For part 2, we shift our focus to the experience of an agency that uses DONNA and HawkSoft together. To hear my bad jokes in introducing Thomas Mann, please go back to part 1. For today's episode, we'll be trained on Rob Bowen of Patriotic Insurance Group of upstate New York. Rob is the principal and owner of his agency, which is quickly approaching its 10th year of operation. Might have that anniversary before this episode airs. Before hanging his own shingle with Patriotic Insurance Group, Rob gained just shy of 20 years of experience in the financial and insurance sector of New York. I am personally spoiled to interact with Rob on a regular basis, as he is a member of our HawkSoft user group's board of directors. He is also a very willing test subject for any new integration opportunity I can bring his way. Rob is a veteran of the United States Navy, and that is where I think he developed the grit and resilience necessary for that kind of volunteer work and regular interaction with me. I certainly appreciate your service in the Navy, Rob. And I don't mean to make light of that sacrifice by saying that it's probably what helps you deal with me on a regular basis. I'm sure you might have thrown me overboard on a boat. But just to demonstrate the quality of his character, this is one of at least 2 meetings Rob and I are going to have today. And then he has to put up with me in person here soon. So I'm going to do my best not to invoke his wrath. But I know that we're going to have a really good conversation here as we dive into part 2 on Aureus Analytics. As we do with our partners, we like to explore the stories of the people that we are interviewing. So Rob, I'd love to hear a bit about your agency. How long, and I spoiled my own questions. How long has the Patriotic Insurance Group been around, Rob?
Actually, you gave me an anniversary, which was when I got into the retail insurance business. So Patriotic Insurance Group, we went independent October of 2020. Prior to that, wow. I was a farmer's agent, and I did a little stint at State Farm.
Okay, gotcha.
And, I started to see the other side of the fence. Right in the middle of COVID, we went independent. Best decision I've ever made. And I think literally probably 3 or 4 months later, I met Matt Brower and then ended up with HawkSoft.
Oh, fantastic.
I didn't know what a management system was. I didn't know what a CRM. I had no idea. I didn't even know what the term meant.
Yeah. And you just dove headfirst in.
Oh, yeah.
I would sincerely, I probably have known that from our prior interactions, but you talk with such authority and lived experience that I would have said you've probably been independent for a decade plus, and definitely using HawkSoft for a lot longer than 2 years or almost 3 years. So how many people work in your agency?
Right now, I've got 2 kind of part-time, 3/4 time in the U.S., and I have a full-time person in Venezuela.
Oh, excellent.
And we're in the process of acquiring an agency that will double us. And that will bring on 2 new team members, both full-time team members in the true upstate New York.
Gotcha.
So you mentioned upstate New York. Depends on your perspective in New York, but I'm kind of central state, and then the new agency's literally upstate, up near the Canadian border.
Sometimes I can't help but betray my West Coast sensibilities. Anything north of New York City.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way most people look at it. It is funny. I'm like, 95% of the geography of New York is not Manhattan or Long Island.
Yep. So then do you specialize in personal versus commercial? Do you have a specific niche that you're really good at selling?
Right now we're about 65-35 personal commercial. We are headed towards 50-50. We have a couple niches. I work with a lot of real estate investors. So that would be, Airbnb, landlord, fix and flip, new builds, anything that's really real estate investment, HVAC companies, and landscapers on the commercial side. And on the personal line side, we're trying to go up market. And I'm not talking super high net worth, but, get a little high net worth. New York is expensive. The value of the homes are skyrocketing right now. So the natural market started to happen. But those are the clients we're looking for. We're trying to avoid the price shoppers, the people that should probably be going direct more than coming to an agent.
That makes sense. And then, you've been in this for quite some time. So what gets you excited about insurance?
I think it's the relationships. I mean, this is going to sound really corny, and I apologize right up front, but it's the people you meet. It's we're all trying to figure this out, right? We're all different. We all have different agencies. We have different drivers. But, over the last 3 years, you made a comment about my longevity. The reason I've been able to acquire the knowledge is because I'm around the right people. You're as smart as the 5 people you hang out with. I'm never the smartest in the room. That's not a problem for me. But it's, you're hanging around these people, you're going to these masterminds, you're going to these events, you're meeting, the vendors that are surrounding us. And that's the best part.
This is a HawkSoft podcast. We're allowed to be as corny as we want. If you had told me, 8 years ago that I would have friends across the country that are all insurance professionals, I would have said, oh boy, what did I do wrong? But
I need new friends.
But sincerely, I completely agree. The people in this industry make the work worth doing. I think it's a bonus that through whatever small actions I get to contribute, we're helping protect communities. You as an agent are directly doing that. So I appreciate that a lot. We're here to talk about how your agency is utilizing DONNA, which is Aureus Analytics, business intelligence, data enrichment, analytic platform. It's so hard to encapsulate everything that DONNA does. We tried very hard in part 1.
It's very hard.
We're going to try even harder now. But I want to kind of send you back in time a little bit. And I'd love to know what you were looking for when you first encountered DONNA. Were you trying to solve a particular problem?
When I first encountered DONNA, it was actually at the HawkSoft convention in Florida. I'm sorry, San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego. And I didn't know what I didn't know. So someone had mentioned DONNA, and I was like, huh. And that was probably 3 steps ahead of me from where I was in my development in the agency. But I said, okay, this is going to bring me value at some point down the road. So let's figure this out. The one thing I do want to say here is when I'm looking for a partner, I'm pretty simple. I mean, if you're a good human, I'll partner with you. And I've said this to vendors. I don't like you. I'm sorry. For what I'm usually not as blunt, but I will just say, if you're not, because you can tell very quickly. Now, remember 3 years ago, we had IndyTech and InsurTech, right? InsurTech was, you guys are all a bunch of idiots. We're going to come in here and solve your problem. It's very quick when you meet a potential partner to know where they stand. It's not hard. You just ask 3 or 4 questions and right off the bat. You don't have to ask a direct question. It was very clear to me that DONNA was here to help the independent agent, to add another layer of technology, to add another layer of understanding, another layer of data in my agency so I could become better. That was obvious. And it was obvious that they were hanging around the right people. You can tell by the vendors of who they're listening to and who they're not listening to. And DONNA had figured that out. And they're also, I don't like the hard sell. Don't hard sell me. I will put on I do this to people, I put on my father hat and I will explain, this will not work with me, young man and young lady. This is the way I work. So there was not, it's like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what we do now. Here's where we're going to end up. And I like the end up, like, no one's perfect now, right? We're all trying to get better. And the agency's going to evolve. The industry's going to evolve. The vendor's going to evolve. But what I loved was I got the conversation about here's where we want to go. We're not sure what that looks like yet, but this is where we want to get to. And here's how we're going to work with your AMSs. So that's how that kind of worked. So.
Fantastic. Um, now, Thomas, were you? So that would have been 2021. I believe you were at Aureus Analytics at that point. But were you in San Diego with us? Do we have you to blame for
So
Rob being on DONNA?
unfortunately not.
No.
So
Gotcha.
I actually, um, Kenny, not to step on your timeline there, but so I joined the Aureus team March 1st of 22.
Gotcha.
So I was not at that one, but I do remember my initial meeting with Rob. He was already on platform, and I think the context of kind of our first conversation was around new functionalities, additional feature, kind of like an update,
Mm-hmm.
where he was kind of wanting to walk through. And coincidentally, I'm pretty sure his first comment to me was, "I'm not sure if I like you yet." So we'll see. Somewhere in
I
between.
don't think I said that. I might have expressed that, but I didn't say it. Hopefully, that didn't come out of my mouth.
Kidding. Maybe it was his face that said that. I'm not sure. But
Oh, all good.
ultimately, no, I think Rob and I have developed a good rapport. But I
Yeah.
think what Rob was talking about when I first, to my memory, admittedly, that might be a little foggy, Kenny, being over a year ago. But in our first conversation, he was a future forward thinking guy and agency. So he did want to know about kind of where we were going, not just in the near term, but longer term. And he asked me that pretty much anytime we catch up.
Sure.
But also he was very, transparent in the opportunities as well as the challenges that he was facing as an agency. And that's just advice I would give to any agent that's looking at a prospective tool, partner, acquisition, any of that, right? Is the more open and honest you'll be about what you need help with, the less demos you'll sit through of, I don't care about this, or I don't need to see that feature, and anyone that's worth their salt as a partner is going to say, I mean, Rob talked about having calls with vendors and being like, I don't like you. This isn't going to fit. I mean, I've had, demos, Kenny, where I've been like, hey, this is probably not a good fit for your agency because it's of no use to me to drag someone on. And I would think any other partner you put on this podcast would say, if you have to drag them and it's not something that's helping them achieve a goal, it's not going to be a long-term fit for either party. So
Yeah.
I think Rob has been, in addition to being chief test pilot for apparently HawkSoft and us, that's one of his better selling points, and showed me kind of a great blueprint for these DONNA conversations, because like you said, Kenny, it is harder to kind of give the whole DONNA picture easily. So
yeah, and go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, sorry. It's one of the things I do, because one of the things I want to make sure of is that the technology partners that are out there are at least have an eye on, if not focus on, the 80%. And the 80% is below the 1.25 million of revenue. I mean, and I respect a vendor that goes after the big boys. God bless you, but that's a very different conversation, a very different sale than talking to me.
Sure.
And talking to other agencies my size. I mean, 80% of the agencies are around me. And, that's important, because that's what attracted me to HawkSoft, honestly. I thought HawkSoft was too big for me. I thought they were for big boys. I was ignorant.
Of course.
And I was quickly reminded by a number of people that use HawkSoft that, it can handle big agencies, but it's built and priced for smaller agencies too.
Yeah.
And then of course the data conversation came in too. So that was important to me. I found out the hard way who owns the data when I transitioned to HawkSoft.
We could probably do hours on that that story. The memory came back to me. San Diego was our first return to national conference after the pandemic, and I know there was a whole contingent from Aureus Analytics there, but one that stood out to me was the CEO, Anurang Shah, who has always attended our events. I think the last time I saw Thomas in person was in Ohio, and Anurang was there as well. And so that's always something that stands out to me as director of partner integrations is to quote an agent, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And so there should be no difference between the owner of an agency and the CSR, or the CEO of a company, or the sales team that goes out on the road. And it's always great to see a partner who embraces that. So now at your stage that you're at right now, with familiarity with them, what can your agency do now with DONNA that you couldn't do before?
I'll answer this in two ways. The first thing DONNA taught me was the importance of data, right? Because now I think differently. I now know I need to make sure my clients are all in HawkSoft, the log notes are put in, my team is trained correctly, because all that information is going to feed DONNA. So in the beginning, DONNA was, a couple months in, there wasn't a lot of data. So you looked at the centimeter scores, they were all over the map, which was fair. As we started to put more data in there and started to integrate with other systems that were feeding HawkSoft, it proved to me, and it made me do what I wanted to do, which was HawkSoft is the Bible, right? That's the E&O protection for me. Everything's got to be in. If it's not in HawkSoft, it didn't happen. Because of that, now DONNA has better analytics because there's more data for it to look at, and there's more time horizon. But what it also does is it very quickly allows me to look at my book of business. We talked about the upsell, we talked about the cross sell, we talked about the centimeter score. I now can slice and dice that. And now it's even easier with DONNA Knows, now that I have an AI connection into it. To run reports, honestly, I struggle running reports. I don't know. I just present me with a dashboard. I need KPIs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need reports. I have the same problem with HawkSoft. There's thousands of different reports that's just not me. I don't want to have the time or the energy or probably the knowledge, honestly, or the smartness to know how to do it. But now give me KPIs to look at. And that's where DONNA is. I couldn't do that before. Now, there's just no way I'm doing that. Even if you take the centimeter score out, which is a huge part of why I love DONNA, just the cross-sell, upsell, that doesn't exist anywhere in my agency except in DONNA. Mm-hmm. And so now I can create processes around those data points.
And we talked about this a bit in part one, the centimeter score, this proprietary metric within DONNA. It's a 0 to 100 metric on the sentiment of a customer. Are they feeling good about the relationship? Are they in good standing with you? Do they have the right coverage? Have you sold them the right number of policies based on what DONNA can understand about their individual risk? How is that impacting your workflows, the access to that information?
What it does is it allows me to do what I call a belly barometer check. So I can look at renewals, and I can look at it in two ways. I actually did this the other day. So I looked at renewals in the next 30 to 60 days, let's say, and I can show me the bottom 10 centimeter scores of those renewals. And I can look at them, and then as a human, and knowing the agency, I can go in and say, okay, well, that's one of my flippers, like we talked about. I'm not going to worry about him. That's one of the, holy crap, what's this? It's one of those, I believe in exception processing, mm-hmm. as opposed to doing the same thing for every single client.
Sure. So
now I can do exception processing, like, oh, there's a problem, right? I tend to use it as it's going to be a negative thing. But now I can see, where there could be a problem. Maybe there isn't, maybe it's just, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But I can also verify that my top tier clients their centimeter scores are high, right? That means we're contacting them, back to DONNA forcing me to do proactive creating data. Mm-hmm. Are we reaching out to these clients? Well, if we're not reaching out to them, there's less data, centimeter score is probably going to come down. I don't know the proprietary algorithm, but looking at renewals, one of the greatest things is going in and saying, what are my bottom 5 carriers on a centimeter score basis? And let me tell you something, it's spot on. And it's spot on because of lack of technology. Thomas mentioned DOS-based systems because, we have a client who is with a carrier, and to add a car, you basically need to give blood and give them your firstborn. And what it does in HawkSoft, it creates a lot of log notes, a lot of back and forth. All my emails are going in there. All my voice recordings are going in there. So you have someone that changes a car and there's 27 log notes.
Wow.
Come on. And it's because the carrier makes it difficult to even do business with them. And it does. I mean, yes, there are exceptions and there are things I've got to look at, but it is freaking spot on. So now it's a different conversation with the carrier.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys, your service, or what it causes me to do is talk to my team and say, hey, Samantha, this seems like this carrier is, awful. And she goes, oh my God, you have no idea. It's awful. And I should know that, right? You should, as an HR, could be aware of what your team's doing, but you're going to miss things. And now I can point at Donna and say, look, everybody with X carrier is a centimeter score 30. Well, there's a problem there. What's the constant? The constant's the carrier. So as I've kind of played around with Donna knows a little bit, it's amazing what you can start doing. You could probably do it by geography, probably do it by zip code, probably do it by, whatever. Yeah. And I think in this hard market, it's going to really become more valuable for me to be able to do that because carriers are getting tough. I always say one of the reasons I will stay with HawkSoft forever is because they actually answer the phone. That sounds ridiculous to most people. Same thing with Donna. I can reach out, I can text Thomas and say, hey, you got some time? He'll send me a link. I said to mine, we're going to talk. A lot of carriers, it's an hour.
Yeah.
It's 45 minutes of hold time. I mean, that's ridiculous. So you can imagine the conversations they could have or the client trying to get something done. I had a client call to make a $200 payment on a bill with a commercial policy. Fortunately, she's a friend. She came back and said it took her an hour.
Oh, wow. To give them money.
Come on.
Wow.
Come on.
Yeah.
An hour to make a $200 payment on an $800 BOP? And, how do I look?
Yeah.
That's when I get dinged.
Right.
Know? So now I can, now I have hard numbers. I have KPIs, but I also have, experiences, and it causes me to, reach out and talk to my client or maybe talk to my team and say, hey, I'm seeing this. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, it does make sense. So it kind of connects a lot of the dots.
Yeah. As an agency owner, you're overseeing so much that type of insight helps you be more effective in your time and your bandwidth.
Oh yeah. And honestly, I miss things. I mean, I could, we're very blunt in my office, which is my personality, my culture. But, sometimes things just don't get said. And that's, but I believe in, let's just say it, when I look at Donna and look at the KPIs, it's right in front of me. I have to be able to answer the question. Why is this centimeter score 40? Right? I have to answer that question, and I should be able to answer that question.
Yeah.
And if I can't, there's a problem there, right? There's a huge problem. So
you gave me the perfect bridge to this next question by acknowledging that you are very good at providing a blunt but generally honest and fair opinion. And fair is fair. In part one, we asked Thomas, what is kind of the hardest thing about working with independent agents? You gave a great answer that people should go back and listen to. But now we always in this question exclude price because that's always an easy thing to say. People could say that about HawkSoft. They could say that about gas, anything. So we're going to set that aside. What is one thing that you would change about Donna if you could?
Wow. It's funny because I looked at these questions obviously before this. I would say the one thing I would change about Donna is focusing on the smaller agencies and being able to express the value that Donna really can bring to them. I get a lot of people reaching out to me for some reason. I get connected to Donna. Maybe I make a comment, maybe I post in a Facebook group, and people are like, and you said exclude price. So I always throw out forget the price side of it, but it is hard to explain Donna. It is very, very difficult. My view is let's just try it. That's what I tell them. Just try it. You're not going to get anything of value for whatever length of time we have, whether it's a year, 6 months, whatever, just do it. And you will be shocked at what you're going to learn about your book of business. And I think people don't understand. So that would be, if I could change it, is how do you express that to the market? Because I think everybody should have DONNA. It doesn't make sense for me why you wouldn't. And even if you bring in price, if it saves a couple accounts and you cross-sell correctly, and we honestly are not very good at cross-selling, so we haven't gotten that engine running yet, how much revenue are you bringing in?
Sure.
That you wouldn't have a shot at because you don't know the data. Yes, I can look at HawkSoft and see home, no auto, auto, no home. But that's sitting in HawkSoft, right? That doesn't help me sitting that data in HawkSoft doesn't help me at that point.
Yeah.
But if I can see the upsell, the cross sell, and the commercial accounts that I haven't rounded out yet, and however I want to use it within DONNA. So I think for DONNA, and I'm looking right at you, Thomas, so I apologize for that, but it's explaining exactly what you do and how you can help smaller agencies. Because most people think this is for the big boys. They do. And they say the same about a lot of technology vendors.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is Thomas does a great job of getting agent feedback. I don't know if there is a concentrated effort to get more agent feedback on DONNA. I'm assuming there is, because I know Thomas does it with me. He reaches out once in a while. Hey, just want to talk about this and talk about what we can do. Because the one thing that Thomas did for me, and I'll single him out on this one, is our conversations are not around, oh, here's another bell and whistle. Here's another cute little data point. It's, hey, Rob, how do you do your renewal process? Excuse me? It's one of those like, huh? Wait, why the hell is he asking me this? Let me show you how you can, with a person, do your renewal process differently using DONNA. I'd never thought.
And then on the flip side, how would you describe the value that DONNA brings to your agency?
The value DONNA brings is way beyond dollars and KPIs and all the dashboard. It changed my mindset. It changes the way I view my agency. It changed the way I view the data. I said it before, hey, what's your renewal process? Wow, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, here's my renewal process. Well, we can add to that. We can help you tweak that. We can focus you on which people you probably need to be speaking with. The cross sell, the upsell. That number's big. That number's, I think, a double or triple what my current book is. That's enormous if you think about it. If I could upsell all of that, I mean, that I just tripled my agency. And I think that low-hanging fruit that we all miss and we all know about and we all try to cross-sell, we all, maybe there are agencies that are good at it. We're not really good at it for some reason. Emails don't work really well. Texts don't work. You can automate some of it, but I think you got to really have that conversation. But I think, the value that DONNA brings, it gives me analytical insight into my book of business that I would never, ever have. And it causes my mind to shift and my mind to change so I can run this agency better.
Yeah.
And that's priceless. I mean, that's corny as I'll get up, try not to swear. But that's the thing. That's what I think a good vendor should be able to do. There are vendors that, hey, here's the software. We're going to do X task and we're going to move on. And that's great. And that's awesome. But DONNA changed the way I even view the world, how I view my agency, how I'm looking at things, how I'm, when I think about renewals, I've got, kind of the DONNA engine running over here. And I'm thinking, okay, I can do this. And as DONNA evolves, and as the API and the data flow gets better and better, that's going to keep changing. So now I'm evolving because DONNA is forcing me to evolve.
Sure.
And that, I think, is what gets me to the future.
Yeah. And when you say the upsell potential, we talked a bit in part one. Thomas alluded to that in addition to collecting data from the management system, when you integrate DONNA with HawkSoft, DONNA also brings in third-party sources of data to enrich those things. And so my understanding is in DONNA, when they're analyzing your existing customers, they can also maybe highlight some potential known or potential. That's a bad way to put it, but some additional risks that might not be covered by your agency. Is that accurate?
I'll let Thomas answer that question.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate, Kenny. And I think we're going to officially rebrand that to potential, by the way. But the term that we use is uplift premium. So
okay.
what we're doing is, and that's what Rob's talking about. So we're actually reading, Kenny, in this case, their HawkSoft data, so that if Donna says, hey, these 100 customers need a personal lines umbrella, we're actually looking so that it's tailored to Rob's agency. Hey, what is the average annualized premium of a personal umbrella for Rob in upstate New York? And giving that recommendation of this person needs this, a actual tangible value based on realistic data, not just a number Kenny we pulled out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And Kenny, if I can just give a quick, Rob took us through a lot of good stuff there. I was, sweating bullets when you asked him what would he change about a partner. I'm glad he didn't say the director of customer success, but
I'm expecting my check shortly, so thank you.
Kenny, I'll tell you, it's Donna, and we alluded to this in part one. One of the most difficult parts is because it is such a unique platform, is kind of articulating not just the value prop, but everything that Donna can help you with. And, insurance agency staff, they have so many things on their plate and so many acts that they're juggling, that it's hard to kind of hone in on a holistic picture of what Donna can do for you. But I think, Rob, I want to highlight something he gave in his answer, Kenny, is Donna is a tool that can meet your agency at scale and grow with you. So I don't want you to think that it's got to be, and I don't want any of these listeners to think that Donna has to be an all or nothing proposition. Here's an example of an agency, Kenny, that has been on Donna for a little over 6 months. And they did not, full sell, reinvent the wheel the way they did things, but they just integrated the Donna retention piece into, we're just going to call the customers that Donna says might be a flight risk. When they started, their policy level retention was at 90%. 5 months of Donna later, that's at 95.
It's a significant increase.
That is a prime example of, you don't have to everything and the kitchen sink to get your value out of Donna, but the ultimate, where you're going to build a better machine in your agency and a well-oiled machine with Donna is, to Rob's point, put a process around it or inject it into a process and let it be a fractional member of your team, right? And Kenny, your data, if you signed up for Donna tomorrow, when we bring it in, it's done, right? It's turnkey. You don't have to come in and build something. Like, you've got the centimeter. And to Rob's point, over time, you can give Donna feedback, and it's going to tailor even more to your preferences. But it is also going to give you a lot of actionable data, day one out of the box. But the thing is, if you were a prospective agency thinking, what can Donna do for me? The answer to that is, let's have a conversation, because Rob just pointed out, I'd actually known Rob prior to Donna, like we'd interacted in a previous role, but at the same time, Rob was not looking at an acquisition when we first started talking about Donna. But I had told him, hey, if you bring in another book of business, Donna can be kind of like an agency report card for this book that you're buying. What's the data completeness look like? What's this uplift premium? Where's the potential? How is this team performing that you're inheriting? So where I'm going with that, Kenny, is that there's not, if you go to the Donna website, it doesn't say, hey, this can be a Carfax for an agency you're buying, right? But there are a lot of things that Donna can do. If you tell me, and a large part of my job as director of customer success is telling you how, Donna can help, even if it's not one of the listed, functionalities. And there are a lot of those kind of fractional use cases out there.
And I think that is a great place to end our conversation today. Thank you both so much. I sincerely appreciate your time and contribution to this. I think this conversation is going to help a lot of agencies better understand Donna and maybe better understand their own agencies in reflection. So I hope you both have a great rest of your weeks, and I look forward to the next time we all get to hang out in person. Rob, that'll be extremely soon, and Thomas, hopefully not too long from now. Thank you for watching today's episode. Click the video's description below to learn more about our guests and to view the latest podcast episode, as well as other content from HawkSoft. We appreciate you watching and hope you join us next time on the Insurance Perspectives Podcast.